You want to know something funny? I'm 106 years old and I still got stuff in my closet I don't need. But when made in 1983, beautiful leather, perfect stitching, music, and my feet are too swollen now to wear them. So why do I keep them? Because we're all idiots about letting go. Look, I'm going to tell you about 10 things you need to sell before you retire or give away or just let go of. And I'm not talking about your comic book collection or your grandmother's china. I'm talking about the stuff that's actually eating your life, the stuff that owns you while you think you own it. And here's the thing. I learned most of this too late. I'm telling you now, so maybe you don't have to be as stupid as I was. Let's start with the big one. Number one, that sell the house that's too big for your life now. My friend Carmine, God rest him, he died in 2019, 92 years old. Beautiful man, hands like mine, worked construction his whole life. He had this house in Staten Island, 4 bedrooms, finished basement, backyard with a fig tree. He planted in 1967. By the time he was 85, he was living in 3 rooms, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, the rest of the house. Ghosts, dust, memories he couldn't visit because the stairs hurt his knees. His kids kept saying, "Pop, sell the house, come live near us." And Carmine kept saying, "This is where your mother made Sunday gravy. This is where you took your first music steps. I can't leave." You know what happened? He fell down those stairs in 2018, broke his hip, spent his last year in a nursing home anyway, and the house sat empty eating money until his kids sold it after he died. Here's what I want you to understand. A house is wood and brick. The love that happened there, that lives in you, you carry it. You don't need the building to keep the memories. When my shop burned down in 1978, 58 years old, 30 years of work, gone in one night, I stood in the ashes thinking my life was over, everything I'd built, everything my father taught me, all those shoes, all those tools gone. But you know what wasn't gone? What my father put in here, the way he showed me to read leather, the way he'd hold up a finished shoe and nod. That was his version of "I love you." The fire couldn't burn that. So if you're rattling around in a house that's too big, paying for rooms you don't use, maintaining a yard that breaks your back, sell it. Take the money, buy something smaller, use the rest to music live. You're not betraying your memories. You're honoring them by actually enjoying the time you have left. Number 2, sell your need to keep rescuing your adult children. Mays and gasps. This one's going to make some of you angry. Good. Be angry. Then think about it. My son Enzo Jr., he's 80 now, still stubborn as a mule, just like his old man. When he was 32, he came to me, needed money. He'd made some bad investments, owed people, was scared. I gave it to him, every penny he asked for. Didn't even make him explain. He's my son. What else was I going to do? You know what he did? Same thing 3 years later, and again 5 years after that, because I taught him that Papa would always fix it. It wasn't until Gloria, my second wife, the love of my second life, it wasn't until Gloria sat me down and said, "Sal, you're not helping him. You're crippling him." And I wanted to argue, but she had this way of looking at you that made you shut up and listen. She said, "Your son is a grown man with a law degree. He can figure this out, but he won't, because you won't let him." That was 1994. I told Enzo, "I love you, but this is the last time. Next time you figure it out yourself." He didn't speak to me for 6 months. You know, music, what? He also never asked for money again. And 20 years later, he music thanked me, said it was the best thing I ever did for him. So here's your homework, and I want you to actually do this, not just nod and forget. Look at your bank account. Add up what you've given your adult children in the last 5 years. Now ask yourself, did that money help them grow, or did it help them stay stuck? There's loans for houses, loans for cars, loans for school. There's no loans for retirement. Your kids have decades to build. You don't. Stop giving away time you can't get music back. Number 3, sell the expensive toys that became expensive burdens. I knew a guy, Frankie Duca, may he rest. He had a boat, beautiful boat, 3 2-footer, kept it at the marina in Sheepshead Bay. He loved that boat, talked about it constantly as you got to come out on the boat. As the boat is like therapy. You know how many times Frankie actually took that boat out, maybe 6 times a year. Rest of the time it sat in the marina eating money. Storage, fees, maintenance, insurance. The engine needed work. One day I asked him, "Frankie, when's the last time you were on the boat?" He had to think about it. That's when you know you have a problem. When you have to think about whether you're enjoying the thing you're paying for. He sold it eventually. Took him 3 years of me nagging, but he sold it. And you know what he told me after? He said, "Yes, I feel lighter. I didn't know that boat was so heavy." That's the thing about possessions. They don't just sit there, they pull at you. They need attention, storage, maintenance, worry. Everything you own takes a piece of your mind, and in retirement, your mind is all you've got. So whatever your boat is, the RVU you use twice, the workshop, equip 'em. And you haven't touched the hobby supplies from 3 hobbies ago. Let it go. Someone else will love it. You can love the money it brings you. Number 4, sell the second car. This one's easy. If you're not commuting anymore, if you and your spouse are both home, how often are you actually going 2 different places at the exact same time? My music neighbor, the Palmer's nice couple, both retired, a Buick and a Toyota. The Toyota sat in the driveway so long, birds were nesting under the hood. I'm not joking. Birds, they finally sold it last year. You know what they did with the money? They took a cruise to Alaska, saw glaciers, held hands on the deck. Would you rather have a car sitting in your driveway or a memory of holding hands in front of a glacier? That's not a trick question. Number 5, and this is the one nobody talks about. Sell your work identity. When I retired from the shop in 2005, 86 years old, I couldn't stand at the bench like I used to. My hands were starting to go. I thought I would be okay. I had prepared. I had hobbies. I had Gloria. But for the first 6 months, I was lost. Do you understand? Lost. For 70 years, I was S the shoemaker. S from Benedetto's fine shoes. People knew me by what I did. I knew me by what I did. And suddenly, I wasn't doing it anymore. I'd wake up and think, what's the point of today? Gloria found me crying one morning. Not loud crying. I'm not a loud crier. Just tears running down my face. While I stared at my coffee, she sat down across from me and she said, Sal, who are you without the shop? And I didn't know. That's the terrifying part. 86 years old, and I didn't know who I was without work. So here's what I had to learn and what you need to learn before you retire. Your job title was never who you were. It was just what you did. You are more than your work. But if you don't figure that out before you stop working, retirement's going to feel like dying while you're still alive. Start now before you retire. Find the parts of yourself that have nothing to do with your job. Grow them, water them, music, give them sunlight. So when the work ends, you don't end with it. Now here's where we get into the stuff you can't sell on eBay. The stuff that costs you more than money. Number 6, sell your grudges. I didn't speak to my brother-in-law Marco for almost 30 years. But I didn't speak to my brother-in-law Marco for almost 30 years. You want to know why? I don't remember. That's the joke. I don't remember. Something about money. Something about money. Something about disrespect. Something that seemed life or death at the time and was actually nothing. Marco died in 1998. I found out from my sister Rosa, who had stayed in touch with his family. She said, Marco died last week. The funeral was Tuesday. I missed it. 30 years of not speaking, and I missed the chance to say goodbye, to say I'm sorry, to say anything. You know what that grudge cost me, not just Marco. It cost me time with Rosa, who felt caught in the middle. It cost me relationships with his kids, my niece and nephew, who I barely know. It cost me 30 years of carrying this heavy, stupid weight that I picked up over something I can't even remember. So here's what you're going to do today, not tomorrow. Today, you're going to think of one person you're not speaking to, one grudge you're carrying, and you're going to ask yourself, is this worth dying over? Because that's what it costs. What? You're spending your dying on this. Pick up the phone, write the letter, send the email, swallow your pride. Pride is the most expensive thing you own, and it pays you nothing. Number 7, sell your fear of what people think. When I married Gloria in 1991, I was 72. She was 62, and she was black in a neighborhood that was not always kind about that. People talked. They talked in the grocery store. My own son didn't speak to me for 2 years because he thought I was disrespecting the family. And you know what I did? I held Gloria's hand and walked down 86th Street like we owned it, because I was 72 years old and I had already buried one wife I loved, and I had already wasted too much of my life being afraid. I wasn't going to waste another second worrying about what people who didn't love me thought about who I loved. Gloria used to say, the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. She was quoting someone, Dr. Seuss, maybe, but she was right. Here's the truth. Most people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they're. They're too busy worrying about what you think, music about them. So stop performing for an audience that isn't watching. Live your life. Love who you love. Wear the weird shirt. Take the art class. Dance badly at the wedding. The opinions of strangers are worthless. The opinions of people who don't love you are worthless. And the people who do love you, they want you to be happy. They're not keeping score. Number 8, sell your need to control everything. My daughter Lucia, she's 78 now, still sharp as a tack, still calls me every Sunday. When she was raising her kids, I used to drive her crazy. I had opinions about everything. How she was feeding them, where she was sending them to school what she was letting them watch on television. One day she said to me, "Papa, I love you, but you need to stop. These are my children. Let me make my own mistakes." Then it hurt. It hurt because she was right, and I didn't want her to be right. I wanted to protect her from every mistake, every pain, every wrong turn. But that's not love, that's control. And in music, control pushes people away. I had to learn, and I'm still learning at 106, that you can offer advice, but you can't force anyone to take it. You can share your wisdom, but you can't make anyone wise. You can love people, but you can't live their lives for them. The tighter you grip, the more slips through your fingers. Let go. Trust the people you raised. Trust the people you love. Let them fall sometimes. They'll get up. That's what humans do. Number 9. Sell your perfectionism. I made beautiful shoes for 60 years. Gorgeous shoes that lasted decades. Shoes that people kept for their whole lives. But you know what? Some of those shoes had small mistakes. A stitch a little off. The leather not quite matched perfectly. And for years, those mistakes would keep me up at night. I'd think about shoes I made in 1962 that no one else would ever notice. What a waste. What an absolute waste of worry. Here's what I know now. Done is better than perfect. A life lived with mistakes is better than a life not lived because you were too scared to mess up. You know what my father used to say, S? The shoe doesn't have to be perfect. It has to fit. It has to hold together. It has to let them walk where they need to go. Let them walk where they need to go. That's the point. Not perfection, progress, movement, forward motion. Stop obsessing over every detail. Stop waiting until something is perfect to share it, to start it, to try it. Your perfectionism is just fear wearing a nice suit. Take off the suit. Get moving. Number 10, and this is the last one, so listen carefully. Sell your someday. I had a list when I was 50, 60, 70. I had a list of things I was going to do someday. I'll go back to Napoli. Someday I'll learn to play the piano. Someday I'll write down all my recipes for the grandkids. Someday I'll tell my son how proud I am of him. You know what someday is? Someday is a thief. It steals your life while promising to give it back later. I never went back to Napoli. I can't play piano. My recipes are still in my head. And my son Enzo. I finally told him I was proud of him, but I was 93 years old. 93, He was 67. He cried, a 67-year-old man, because his father finally said the words he'd been waiting his whole life to hear. Why did I wait so long? Why did any of us wait so long? Here's what I want you to do right now. Get a piece of paper. Write down 3 things you're saving for someday. Could be a trip, a conversation, a project. Now, cross out someday and write this month. I'm serious. This month. Not this year. This month. Because here's the secret. Nobody tells you someday isn't on the calendar. It doesn't exist. The only days that exist are the ones you're in right now. This moment, this breath. I've buried 2 wives I loved. I've buried my sister, my father, my friends. Almost everyone I started with is, and the only thing I regret more than the mistakes I made is the things I didn't do because I thought there would be time. There's never as much time as you think. Not for me, not for you, not for anyone. So here's what you got. Sell the big house. Sell the need to rescue your grown children. Sell the expensive toys you never use. Sell the car that just sits there. Sell your work identity. Sell your fear of what people think. Sell your need to control. Sell your perfectionism. Sell your someday. That's 10 things. 10 things that are costing you more than money. 10 things that are making your life smaller when it should be getting bigger. You know what Gloria said to me near the end? She was 95, and she knew she could feel it coming. She grabbed my hand and she said, and music promised her. I promised her that I would keep laughing, keep living, keep choosing joy. Not because life is easy, so waste of whatever time I have left. That's the real thing to sell when you think about it. Sell your bitterness. Sell your bitterness. It's not worth what it costs. Go call someone you love. Go say the thing you've been meaning to say. Go book the trip. Make the call. Ask for forgiveness. Give forgiveness. And do it now. Not Sunday, now. Because I'm 106, and I'm telling you, someday is the biggest lie we tell ourselves. Don't wait. Now go. Go live your life. I'll see you next.